Agitavoch. So I'll tell you Maisa. Usually when you hear Chassidish stories, the villain is usually the parts, right? The parts, the landowner, the mayor of the town, and so on. He was usually the bad guy. And for the most part, they were. For the most part, they were anti-Semites and they abused their power. But every once in a while, you have a parts that was a good guy. So this is a Maisa about a parts that was good. There was a parts that sort of owned a large area with a number of shtetlach. And this parts, Baruch Hashem, happened to be a good person. He was an upstanding person, a righteous Gentile, someone that was caring. And he went out of his way to help the Jewish people that lived in his areas. He would give them loans, he would find them jobs. He was really, Baruch Hashem, was very good. It was very good. Now, the problem is that this parts was getting older. As he was getting older, and he was a sickly person to begin with, so as he was getting older, he was getting sicker and sicker, and he wasn't able to sort of run, the government by himself anymore, and he had to sort of slowly but surely pass the reins over to the next generation, so to speak. Now, the next ones up were the classic parts. These were anti-Semites, and they did everything they could to make the Jewish people have a harder time in these districts. So the Jews didn't know what to do. It's one of those things, like if the old pirates had a refuah shleima, it would be a lot better for them. So it happens to be the Rebbe Maharash, or Shmuel of Lubavitch. So the Rebbe Maharash was one of the big Rebbes that was nearby that area, and many of the Chassidim that lived in those areas were Chassidim of the Rebbe Maharash. So there was one particular Chassid whose name was Reb Shmuel, and this Reb Shmuel was a very wealthy, learned, like an asken. He was a good person, and he knew the situation very, very well. He knew the pirates. He knew the people that he's passing the reins over. He understood the situation very, very well, and he saw the writing on the wall. This is not going to be good if the pirates, sort of takes a negative turn. It's not going to be good for the whole area. So he went to the Maharash. And the Maharash asked him what's going on. So he lays it all out. He tells exactly what's going on, the situation of the pirates, what's going on, the turns that are happening, the changes. And the Maharash became very upset. The Maharash said, I don't understand. You have all these Chassidim coming to travel to me, and they lay out their tzaras, whether it be children or parnos and so on. But no one ever told me that this major issue is going on with the pirates. You're the first one to tell me. So the Chassid says, okay, Rebbe, but what should we do? So the Rebbe Maharash thinks for a minute, and he puts his head down, and after a few minutes he comes back and he says to Rishon, he says, listen, go back, and when you find the pirates, tell them the following message. Tell them it in my name. He said, tell him in my name that if he can sort of find the strength to get the reins back, and to run the government the way it was, and to do what he can to help the Jewish people, I guarantee him a month of health and happiness per family. For every Jewish family that he's able to help, I guarantee him a month of happiness and health. Go tell him that. Okay, fine. So he goes. So he goes in front of the Parts' house, but the Parts is sick. The Parts is laid up in bed, so he's not just coming out of the house. So one day passes, 2 days, 3 days, and this Reb Shmuel is just hanging outside, just waiting for the opportunity for the Parts to come out or to maybe look at the window to make some contact. Until finally, about a week or so later, the Parts finally takes a ride outside to get some fresh air. And Reb Shmuel sees this Parts is, he's halfway the other side, And so he finds his opportunity. He goes over to him, and the Parts says, "Oh, Reb Shmuel, how are you?" He says, "Okay. I was just by the Lubavitch Rebbe, the Rebbe Maharash." And so the Parts has had contact before. And he says, "Okay, what does the Rebbe say?" So he said the Rebbe tells him this deal, that if he can strengthen himself to hold on to the government and make the situation better for the Jewish people, the Rebbe guarantees you a month of health per family. So the Parts became very excited by this. That's what he needs. So he decided not only is he going to help the existing families already, he's going to double down. He's going to expand his efforts. So the more Jews he can help, the better for him. To the point of where he tells Rav Shmuel, he says, "Okay, I want you don't obviously keep this private. We don't want to publicize this, but get a cheshbon. I want to see the numbers. I want to see how many families, Jewish families, are in this district, and I want to make this as profitable as possible for me." So fine, that's what he does. And no one realizes why, but everyone sees that the situation is becoming better. The old government is back in place. The situation improves, and the Parts' influence is expanding over to more shtetl, to the point of where it was hundreds and hundreds of families that he was able to help. And for the next 14 years, he didn't have a cold. Now it's not a cold, completely healthy and well. At some point, after 14 years, he woke up one morning not feeling well. He's like, uh-oh. So he quickly calls Rav Shmuel and he says, I want you to go back to the Maharash and tell the Maharash that according to my calculation, I still have another 16 months. All right? After my calculation, I still have another 16 months. Go to the Maharash and tell him that he has to keep his word. So Rav Shmuel tells him, I have bad news for you. What's the bad news? Rebbe Maharash was nifter. He was nifter last year, whatever it was. So the Parts doesn't know what to do. He says, okay, listen, in the next world he has to keep his word as well. Go to his tzien, go to his gravesite, and then tell him that I have another 17 months. Fine. So he goes on behalf of the Parts, he goes to the tzien of the Rebbe Maharash, and he says, Rebbe, the Parts wanted me to convey the message that he has another 17 months and he wasn't feeling well this morning, so he's nervous. So if the Rebbe can, what happened? So he goes back, and he goes back to the Parts, and he says, the Parts, Kiyanti shlichusech, I fulfilled my shlichus. How are you feeling? So the Parts says, I'll tell you the truth, I woke up this morning, I felt great. So now I'm confident we'll be good to go. 17 months later, he doesn't wake up. And that was the end of it. That was the guarantee of the Maharash. He helped you, he helped Jews, it'll be good for you. As Hashem, we should be zeichet to see that Mashiach will come, and the whole world will know the truth. Mi kamchi Yisrael, Hashem echad. Hashem is the one God. Mi kamchi Yisrael gayach baretz, and the rest is commentary. We should be zeichet to see only brachas and Yeshuas from that. Be a skilled barachim here. Amen.